Hi, thanks for joining me again today. This is number 26 in the Develop Sight Reading book. If you've been following the series, you know how frustrating they can be, and this one is pretty tricky. Plus, it's got some things on it which I put question marks by because I'm not sure what it means. So we'll get into that in a bit. I'm going to try and play through this and see if I can do so without stopping because it is rhythmically rather complicated. Okay, here we go. Oh, played a wrong rhythm. I was thinking about what I just did instead of what I have to do next. This is called looking back. So you're looking over your shoulder. Can't do that. Not when you're performing. There were a couple of other spots where I wasn't sure where I played the right rhythm. So obviously I don't have this in my mind strongly enough yet. And I'm going to try and play it from the first 3/8 bar. But before I do that, since we're taking a little time out here, I have to point out that there's a strange anomaly. You play two lines, and then the next line, yes, it changes from 4/4 to 2/4. Okay, that's not that weird. But the key signature changes. And in this kind of music, the key signature is always on the left-hand side, and it's there every time, even when the key doesn't change. Those of you who play musicals, for example, theater work, playing in the pit, a lot of times those scores are written so that the only time you see the key signature, you see it once, and then you don't see another key signature until it changes to something other than what you're already playing in. And in some ways that's less confusing. But being a classical player primarily, I'm not used to that as much, and so it's an assurance for me to see the key signature on the left-hand side. In this case, the key signature changed without warning, and then in the next line it changes back. And my judgment would be, my theory would be, is that key signature is not supposed to change. And it distracted me when I got there. And then when I played, it was like, what was that? See, that's looking back again. So when you're not familiar with something, you're going to be looking back. When you are familiar, if you trip, if you stumble, keep seeing where you're going to fall. Keep looking forward, because then you'll be able to maybe roll with it a little bit and get back up on your feet. Anybody who's an improvisational artist, a jazz player, will realize that there are no wrong notes, in a sense. There's a note that doesn't fit the chord, but if you have enough agility and you're hearing forward, you can turn it into something very interesting relative to the next chord, the next harmonic structure that's coming. And you'll hear a lot of that in improvisation. But if you sit on the note and it's wrong, then everybody hears it and they know you're not actually hearing the chord that you're playing in right now. But in improvisation, you're always moving, you're always going. You can't stop. Well, it's the same way with this music, even though it's written out notation. So I decided, and I could be wrong about this, that suddenly going from B major to E major for one line and then back again, that's a mistake, because I've never seen that before in printed music. I've seen changing transpositions, like in the music of Wagner, for example, and many operas, but especially Wagner, where you might change transpositions every 3 bars, 2 bars, 5 bars. There's a new transposition. And it's the same case with music like that. You need to be asking yourself, well, what does it actually sound like? It's not the transposition, it's what is it supposed to sound like? What are the actual notes? And memorize it. I mean, that's what I do because it makes me feel more comfortable. So now I'm going to go back and play it into the third line, and where that, what I think is an errant key signature, and I'm going to play it with the original key signature. Let's see, or no good places to start. I'll just start on the second line. Whoa, that needs a little work. Why do I say that? Well, if you're not looking at the music, you might hear a few little chips now and then, but it's chaos in my mind. If I don't know exactly what I'm intending to do, yeah, I might be able to fake it, but I know, and so I have to be honest with myself, like, do I really know? I don't get that. Well, more distractions. So I got to a 5/8 bar, but there are 3/8 notes and 3/8 rests in the bar. So that's not a 5/8 bar. It's a 6/8 bar. So I have to say to myself, did he want a 5/8 bar? Probably. Or should it have been a 6/8 bar? 6/8 is what's written in the notation, but it says 5/8 on the bar. I don't get it. Okay, so what I'd done when I looked at this many, many years ago, I said, okay, I'm just going to cut off the last 8th note, and then I'm going to go ta, 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 ta. So I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, and 2, and that way it works. The irony of this is, all I'm doing is going ta, 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 ta. If I play it that way, I can't even tell what the meter is. I'm just playing even 8th notes and even 8th frets all the way through. So what makes this complicated and difficult is 5/8, I guess it's supposed to be that way, 5/8, and then 2/4. But maybe it's not supposed to be that way. Maybe it was supposed to be a 6/8 in the first place. Oh yeah, so I know, I guess you know by now, if you've been working with me, I'm a glutton for punishment. So I'll say, well, gee, why don't I play it both ways? Let me see if I can do that. So now I have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, ta. So it's t, 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 t. Now there's a little hitch. I have 2 8th rests in a row when I go into the 2/4. Maybe that's what he intended, because they're trying to mess you up, right? So I would try it both ways. That wasn't very successful, so I would work on that until I could do it both ways. Why am I pointing this out? Good question. I'm pointing it out because you need to learn to be flexible. You never know what's happening, what's going to happen. You never know if the cue that you're depending on, the person missed their entrance. Then what do you do? You never know if the guy next to you, if your second trumpet player is counting when your mind drifts away and you're not counting. No, you have to be responsible for your own stuff. And when you're playing in a group where everybody is as responsible as they can be for their own stuff, it's a pleasure to play in that group. And it makes it so easy because there's more strength from each individual player. Each individual player is doing their job, functioning in the way they should in relationship to the ensemble to the best of their ability. That's called teamwork. Wish we had more of that in this world. But these are solos. but you're learning the discipline of taking responsibility for your stuff and being very affirmative in how you play it. That's absolutely key in everything that you do. And with these things that are rhythmically challenging, I find it to be, good work, good exercise to practice these things, and they help to prepare you, they've helped to prepare me for seeing things that were a surprise and being able to deal with them in the moment. I'm old and I tell a lot of stories, but I'm not going to take time to do that right now. But I'll just suffice it to say, when I used to get called a lot to come in to play with the BSO, after I was no longer a full-time member, I still played for many years, and I'd get a call. I'd be, working out at the gym. It'd be 5:30, and my wife would call the front desk, and they would come down on the floor and get me because there were no cell phones at that time. I know, surprise. And I'd come to the phone, and the personnel manager would say, "Could you come in tonight and play the concert?" And I'd say, "Sure." And I'd come in, and it's a piece that the orchestra had been working on all week, a new piece that was written for a conducting competition that no one knew, and I knew it least of all. I hadn't heard it before. I hadn't gotten to know the piece in the rehearsal, and I had to just play what was written on the page. That's when this kind of work can help you. And it was a contemporary piece, as I said, written for a conducting competition. Challenging. So that's a story. I indulge myself. But you need to be ready. You need to be prepared. If you're always thinking in terms of preparation for the unexpected, that can cause stress unless your preparation gives you confidence. That's why we're doing these. Okay. Now, I hope you could follow through as I played this. There were some glitches in it, and you could, if you're really paying attention, you could probably tell, oh yeah, there's a problem here or there, a little slight delay, there's a chip note. All these things are flaws, and there's nothing that's human that's not flawed. If you try too much to play it perfectly, you're going to have trouble. But if you concentrate on playing the right notes at the right time, you're going to cover most of the bases. So that's really what this is for. Now, I'm going to address one issue, and this comes up over and over again. These things are written to trip you up. So let's go to the 3/8. I'll play the 3/8 on the third line, where I had started before. And I'm going to play it with, assuming the key signature doesn't change now. And this time I'll keep going for a little while and give you a feeling of it. But I'm going to try and conduct this time. So this is a little bit like our playing in a brass quintet. And this is a great thing for you to practice, but it's another level of difficulty. I actually haven't tried this on this music, so we'll see if I can do it. So we're going along 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So I'll try and do that. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. That wasn't good. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 1. Now, I'm what I call in the pocket. Don't be satisfied to approximate a rhythm. Play it as clearly, intentionally, and accurately as you possibly can. That will really help you in all your work, because when you play with a great group, everybody's doing that. They're laying it down, and there should be no people who are following or hanging on. Everybody should be come into that space where we're doing it together. With trained orchestral players, for example, we would look at that passage, and if we had to play that in harmony, let's say in a trumpet section, it would be rhythmically locked. It would be together. But so if you can't do that by yourself, it's going to be much more difficult in the heat of the battle, in the middle of an ensemble where you can't hear everything that's going on, and trying to play in tune with your colleagues when you're playing harmony. So you see, we're trying to get this rhythmic sense developed so that you don't get taken by surprise when the cards are on the table, so to speak. So I would practice that 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. That's not it. Okay, I'm counting. I don't want to count. I just want to feel the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you have 16th note subdivision going throughout. 1, 2, and 2. Now I feel pretty confident about it. It's not there all the way. So if somebody were trying to distract me, maybe they walk over from behind me and whack me on the head with a pencil, as I'm playing, could I keep playing it correctly? Yeah, I know that sounds kind of violent, but one of my colleagues was trained that way. And it's not bad because all kinds of things are going to happen. You have to learn the mental skill of maintaining your concentration no matter what. So a lot to deal with here, and I hope you enjoy playing these, even though they can be really annoying at times. So go do your work, and I'll see you when you have some more time to focus on your craft. Have a great day. Bye-bye.